have just been informed that the AC is at maximum, and therefore for it to be more effective, we have the national anthem.
We shall sing the Swahili version. E Mungu nguvu yetu, ilete baraka kwetu, haki iwe ngao na mlinzi, na tukae na uhuru, amani na uhuru, raha tupate na ustawi.
Thank you very much, Tabu. So, few weeks ago, there could be several weeks, but towards the end of last year, we were in this same venue on a press conference to speak about the BBI process, the need to protect the Constitution, and the need to create an alternative space to protect the Constitution of Kenya 2010 in a press conference. Today we are here essentially to formally launch the Linda Katiba Popular Initiative to answer the calls that we have received from citizens since that press conference last year. The big question has always been, what can we do in order to protect the Constitution from the onslaught that we have seen? We have received those questions from all Kenyans of all walks of life. We have received them from the clergy and the faith community. We have received them from businessmen and women. We have received them from political parties. We have received them from individual citizens in their own rights. We've received them from civil society actors. We've received them from women, persons with disability, young men and women in this country. We have also received them from very unusual corners, including those who are typically disengaged from political processes. And in all those questions, we are persuaded that there is a silent majority that looks at what is happening in this country, the dismantling of our Constitution, and are unhappy. So we've felt compelled to answer that call of what it is that ordinary and not so ordinary Kenyans can do to protect the Constitution of Kenya 2010 against the onslaught against it by a few majority. So today we consider this an official launch, and we will be answering that particular question and several of questions that will come. If I just walk you briefly through the program that we have, this is a live streaming event. So many people are going to be watching this as we proceed with the program. We will have a presentation after this brief introduction by Giuliani. Then we'll have a series of speeches from guests that we have invited. We will have a brief play or a skit, a dramatic presentation of the state of the Republic with regard to BBI and related shenanigans that will capture the imagination of Kenyans and the frustrations that we have as Kenyans. Then we'll have final and key address by Honorable Martha KARUA. We'll end with a brief question and answer session. So we would encourage the press corps and other interested guests that please write down your questions, any key questions that we may have, because that will be a limited session. We'll want to have as many questions from a diverse group as possible and as diverse voices as possible. So jipange in good time, and we all hope that we are going to have a wonderful and fulfilling morning event. Without further ado, I would like to invite Giuliani for a brief performance to get us started. Thank you and welcome, everyone.
Ni aje? Mko poa? Asante bro. Toa. So nilikuwa nadhani venye nimesema national anthem mtakata kuimba national anthem mwanza kuimba nikonja. But mkaniangusha man. Owe. Hiyo ndio national anthem, si ndio? Ndiko kulipa gara sitasi. Simama. Kabla tufike hapo acha nianzie mbele kidogo, si ndio? Na ilikuwa naanza hivi Nipeleke na basha kampo kwanza ndio tu.
Lakini Kenya naogopa hata zaidi. Finger of God, ikini point. Yule.
Hey! Yule. Politicians wanabonga mob. That's why kwa parliament kuna speaker ndio jue vitu ziko wrong. Pedestrians wanapisha gari kupita kwa zebra crossing. Kama unachuki nami heri ni poison na rat and rat kuliko ninunulie Passat. Fanza elimu free nalipia mtoto wa minister private school fee. Kukuwa mtu mzuri ni hatia, walinishuku nikiwa mrembo lift kwa njia. Tafadhali samahani shukran, ni terms zimepotea kata tu kwa skin ya Msudan. Kisu ni cutlery kwa mkono ya romba, ni silaha and increase casualties. Ukipenda utamu ya sweetie kuwa tayari kuvumilia kama Nakumbuka ama nyinyi wa mjui hizi vitu. Mkono mtupu haulambwi, but na kwa baridi haiko busy. Una njaa na kuofa chewing gum. Uko jogging wanasimama kukupatia lift. Usaidizi zingine isaidiangi saa zingine. Cry river u get bang. Ghetto kuna njaa na siwe zimejaa. Hai make sense. Patience pays, no wonder wazazi walitaka niwe daktari. Toto vumilia ugali, hii salary ingenunua nyama, but nalipa taxes. MPs wapata entertainment allowances. Kuku imefungwa kamba refu, ina feel free. Before ijue kwa plate, kando ya chips. Sindio? So sometimes we think we are free, sindio? Sometimes just because mnaza tusi president kwa online, mnadhani mko free, sindio? Until mko na BBI. Maybe itawasaidia. Hebu tuende wengine. Kutabadilishwa na nani kama? Nikawa wanapiga picha ya ID, hawa smile ni kubaya AI. Wanacheza bano na makademia na talafu wanalia njaa. Ignorance walitucheka etinika tumechanganikiwa ka pudding. Upuzi mazuri haitoki kwangu. Kano kia 3310 iwe na bluetooth darasa. Nilikuwa na car back, Kenya imechange ni shofa, bado na car back left. Kweli ni boring boy, mbona mbongi angusha jiwe juu ya mkono tujue nani fast body. Tumechoose kupuuza, opinion inatupunguza, kelele necessary ni ambulance, zingine hatusikini nuisance. Zitaendeshwa na nani? Kasi sisi. Kama unaenjoy kichwa basi kidogo basi. Kasi sisi. Amwenishi mwingine ni wewe. Enjoy. Wewe na wewe na mi. Nasema wewe na wewe na mi. Wewe na wewe na mi. Na una locks, wana expect ni waombe fair. Nisaidie na blue dude, nywele yako si refu ya ponytail, shuka matuta tu, zingine hatusikini nuisance. Hey! Zitaendeshwa na nani? Kasi sisi. Kutabadilishwa na nani? Kasi sisi. Kutabadilishwa na nani? Kasi sisi. Simanishi mwingine ni wewe na wewe na mi. Wewe na wewe na mi. Nasema wewe na wewe na mi. Wewe na wewe na mi. Hatutaki kiatu si black, wanaidharau ATC wax. Tukiwa kwa streets tuna beatbox, nikichana na una locks, wana expect ni waombe fair. Nisaidie na blue dude, nywele yako si refu ya ponytail, shuka matuta tu, waliniambia nikawajibu. Si settle for less man, na dan kwa rims ya success nipite bila height ya Scottie Pippen. Nina mentality ya Rosa Parks. Dhani 50 bob leso t-shirt siku ya campaign ilikuwa free. Ni 5-year loan investment, utalipa kingia parliament. We are one, ama ni we are one. Utumishi kwa wote, utu, miss, damu ya victim ilimwagika. Machozi ya perpetrator inaweza dilute damu ya victim ilimwagika. After all is said and done, all will be said and nothing will be done. After all is said and done, all will be said and nothing will be done. Yeah, at least yendo national anthem sasa ndio imeingia. Sitasimama mao, sitasimama mao. Ufisi, ubinafsi, ukabila, uza sura, wataki kuza sera. Undugu ni kufaana, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala, sitasimama mao. Hatu get wadhifa, una deserve, bila kasha makashfa. Hii society Kenya wanaeza, share ni nyungu ya busa ama ketol ya shisha. Mfuko unasikia eko, unajua thamani ya mali na size ya kifuli. Yo, ujaibibwa jua unakaa kitu what? Risking jail time, police bullets for. Unaweza argue, crime doesn't pay, lakini wezi dismiss justice ina pay. Mwizi yana 40 days, 365 days later, anaendelea kugrow faster. Do anything for power, ready to lose their head for presidency. Bora waione kwa currency. Sababu gani siku affected na turbulence? Nikifly ngani, nimezo the same feeling. Matatu zikipitia portal mtaani Julia. Yeah, yeah. Niko hata oe shadan wewe, niko tayari kulipa gharama, sitasimama mao, sitasimama mao. Ufisi, ubinafsi, ukabila, kuuza sura, wataki kuuza sera. Undugu ni kufa, hey! Kawala Job raise funds, itabidi raise hands. Growing concern, breakfast at concern. Taki mpunguze bei ya bidhaa. Tunataka opportunities ndio tu afford hizo bidhaa. Walisema kutembea kwingi ndio kuona mengi. Nimeshinda nikitembea maofisi na sijaiona kazi. Kazi chaza golf kwenye Tiger Wood. Mambo si barabara chingu. Naomba jani masses. Chakula ifike tumboni ikitoka kwa sahani. Policeman anapiga rungu. Mwalimu daktari anamrusha tear gas. Na mtoto wake anasha nyumbani ana school fees analipo peanuts. Niko uwe hae shagala bagala. Niko kulipa gharama. Sitasimama maovu. Ufisi imba wataki kuzaze. Undugu ni kufaa. Hey! Asante DJ Alex, asante. Nataka kusikia niko njaa hata siezi. Uwe hae shagala bagala. Niko tayari kulipa gharama. Sitasimama oh. Sitasimama. Ufisadi, ubinafsi, hey, kuuza, wataki kuuza sera. Undugu ni kufa, hey. Sitasimama mao. Hey, Charon umesikia hizo unazirusha? Okay, nifanye moja ya mwisho, si ndio? Hii sasa ni ya swag, lazima uko na nafanya tu kidogo, si ndio? Hebu tuende nione kama sema walitudharau. Aha. Tunajua tuko hapa ndaka wachache, si ndio? Wanaweza zima stima wakitaka, si ndio? Si wanatudharau. Yeah.
Exponential potential. Walitudharau.
Akina nane?
Who's laughing now? Exponential potential. Wanadrunk kwa machozi zao. Tunaogelea kwa jasho zetu.
Hey!
Who's laughing now?
Asante. Nashukuru Mungu awabariki, au sio?
Thank you. A round of applause again for him as we wait for the podium. A better one than that, with soundtrack. Okay, couple of exciting things. I think usaidizi zingine hazisaidi. So you are jogging to either lose the weight you don't have or to improve on your heartbeat. Alafu mtu anataka kukupea lift. That's what I heard from that song. Hiyo ni usaidizi yenye haisaidii. Uko na njaa, mtu anakupea chewing gum. Inaongeza ama inapunguza? Sasa hiyo ni BBI. Amemalizia kwa utawala, which is one of my favorite of all times. Utawala. I actually think it should be the national anthem for anybody who is looking at the way our country is, where we are coming from, the broken promises, hopes and stuff, because it's really profound. But the other thing muhimu kwa utawala is that it distributes responsibility and obligation across board. It tells us as citizens where we have fallen short of the glory. It tells the leadership where they have fallen short. More profoundly, it says, hatutaki kupunguziwa bei ya bidhaa. Tunataka opportunity ndio tuweze kuafford. In other words, for the young people of this country, to be told hautalipa help for a period is not a long-term solution. There is dignity of work. You want to be able to have opportunity, jobs to be able to meet your daily obligations as a man or a woman. Kusamehewa au kupunguziwa deni is not dignity. We are asking for opportunity. So ukipewa usaidizi ambazo hazifai, lazima tuzi reject. As I wait to invite Dr. Ndi, I want to read something from one of the great sons of this country, Professor Yash Palgai, who is a household name. He says, in fact, from Honorable Jomo to his honorable son, Uhuru, they have been almost entirely preoccupied with their own interest, and on a minor scale, their political, ethnic compatriots. But the BBI is more consistent with the arrogance of politicians. I wonder if Uhuru and Raila see the consequences of moving to a constitution in which the leaders of every ethnic group, in practice, major 5 or so tribes, will dominate the country. They are taking away from the people the constitution which they made and cherish, even though our politicians never gave them the chance to become its beneficiaries. Please, Kenyans, reject the false promise of BBI. Another patriot, Rachel Muihaki, tells us, we, the Kenyan citizens, must fight to protect, defend, and promote the 2010 Kenyan Constitution in order for us to achieve gender equality and implementation of the 2/3 gender rule. We are not just here to say we need to reject in total the proposals of BBI. More importantly, bigger than rejection of BBI, which is a short-term goal, is we must rededicate ourselves to the protection of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. That is the most important and solemn commitment for Linda Katiba. Dr. David Ndi. Let's give him a round of applause.
Good morning, fellow Kenyans. I want to thank you very much for coming, as well as thank those who have joined us through various mitandao as we embark on this journey that truly we should not be embarking on. We should not be convening here to talk about how we are going to defend our Constitution, because the people we have given responsibility really should be implementing that Constitution. But I want to tell you why we are here by painting the bigger picture so that you understand what we are up against and what battles are ahead of us. About 5 years ago, a political scientist, Professor Larry Diamond, coined a term. He said the world was going into a democratic recession. As you know, an economic recession is when the economy goes down and you have a recession and hopefully you have an upturn like we are now. So a democratic recession is a situation where democracy is in retreat. And he was talking about the whole world with a lot of evidence. Many countries, particularly in the South, like here, democracy is not being replaced by the old military dictatorships and stuff like that because coups are out of fashion, but something which he called electoral authoritarianism. Electoral authoritarianism is a dictatorship that goes through the motions of democratic rituals, like elections. Yeah? But those elections are not free and fair. It goes through the motions of having a parliament, but that parliament is not independent. And is in fact like the old parliament we had during KANU one-party days, which is a rubber stamp of the executive. It pretends to have an independent judiciary, but it isn't. Yeah? Because the judges are intimidated or judicial processes are interfered with, as we can see today. Now, if you look around this region, what do you see? Yeah? We've just had an election in Uganda. I don't need to talk about it. When Museveni came into power more than 30 years ago, he would upbraid and berate all these African leaders who stayed in power forever. He has stayed in power longer than them. When Magufuli was elected in Tanzania, there was a hashtag going around as a new broom and asking, what would Magufuli do? Magufuli is now the most terrifying dictator in East Africa. When Abiy replaced his predecessor as the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, he was seen as a breath of fresh air. He even was awarded a Nobel Prize. And now, in Ethiopia, the world is talking about a genocide. How much later? Okay? But we here in Kenya have an incurable disease called exceptionalism. We think we are different. We think it's not happening here. Yeah? When Jomo Kenyatta became the Premier of Kenya in 1963, he was a national hero. He was called the father of the nation. Jaramogi said, Uhuru na Kenyatta. Within a decade, Kenyatta was more feared than any colonial governor, and he was wealthier than any settler. And that's how, 15 years later, he was the most of you here are young. Those of us who are a bit older remember by the time Jomo was dying, his name was mentioned in whispers. You could not shout his name. Yeah? When Moi took over, there was a breath of fresh air in this country. We said he was humble. Yeah? He was going to fight Kenyatta's corruption. A decade later, Moi's name was being mentioned in whispers. When Kibaki took over, there was euphoria in this country. Yeah? We said he's a gentleman. Yeah? Who would have thought that it is Kibaki, under Kibaki, that the country would come to the brink of civil war? Yeah? Again, trying to stay in power. When Uhuru was proposed as president, yeah, his supporters said, oh, he was called Kamoana. Yeah? He is rich. He doesn't need anything. He will not steal. Yeah? Yet, Uhuru has presided over the most corrupt regime in our history. Not just the most corrupt, but also the most incompetent. Uhuru does not want to leave. Yeah? Uhuru does not want to leave power. Anybody who has used power and abused it and enriched himself and those close to him the way Uhuru has never wants to leave power. Uhuru's preoccupation now is how to stay in power. Yeah? And if you see, we started with a handshake and a BBI, which was being framed as a Trojan horse or a thing which is being driven by Raila Odinga to get to power. And where are we now? Who owns BBI? Who is pushing BBI? Why is a president who should be retiring, gathering people, taking state money, saying he will roar like a lion, all manner of things? He does not intend to leave power. So, the democratic recession is here. Electoral authoritarianism is here. We saw it in 2017. The semblance of an election, but the outcome is predetermined. there is no reason for us to suppose that the election that Uhuru Kenyatta has in mind is any different in 2022 than the one we had in 2017. And all these processes, all this melodrama, the hidden agenda is to control the state, to privatize the state. We can see the assault on the judiciary. We saw parliament being taken over. People, we are not exceptional. Yeah? Our constitution is being dismantled as we watch. Parliament's independence has been dismantled as we watch. There is an assault on the judiciary as we watch. We are going to wake up one of these days and ask ourselves, how did this happen? It happened because we look at these individuals, yeah, and we think if they are from our community, we find a way of justifying that they are one of us. We find all manner of things. We allow ethnic sort of narratives. We are bought with money. Yeah? That is how it happens everywhere. That's the way it happened in Uganda. That's the way it happened in Tanzania. That's the way it happened here before. And that's how it's happening now. We are going to wake up and find ourselves back in the dictatorship that we had before 1992. That's where these people are taking us. So that's the bad news. But the good news is, the reason why we still think that we are an exception is because the one thing we have been able to do perhaps better than our neighbors and other people in this region is to mobilize and use the power of the people. It is the power of the people that got us from a one-party dictatorship to a multi-party system. It is the power of the people that stopped the 2007 PEV. It is the power of the people that forced this people-friendly, progressive constitution on our leaders. They don't like it. So it is only the power of the people, the only thing which is standing between us and dictatorship and the kleptocracy that we have seen over the last, and the arrogance of power that we are observing, is being able to mobilize the power of the people. That's why we are here. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ndi, for giving us the regional and national context of where we stand, and for ending with the most important thing, perhaps even as outlined in our Constitution, we the people. It is that power that is our saving grace, and it is that power that is going to halt and disrupt the designs that we have seen, that are probably leading us into darkness, but may the power of people prevail. I have a request to every member to show responsibility for others. Please have your mask on as much as possible, unless you have a medical situation that bars you from having one on. Let's protect each other. I know it's not the most comfortable of things, but let's protect each other from that. Thank you. As I was saying, Dr. Ndi, thank you for reminding us that, and I don't think it is lost on us, the power of the people, to disrupt some of the darkest testaments or designs that are currently facing this republic. Reverend Timothy Njoya, who is not new to the progressive agenda in this country, says the Kenyan Constitution was the first in Africa to define the African selfhood or sovereignty of the people and statehood. If we were to alter the constitution, we would be defacing a fundamental definition of the Kenyan statehood as a light to the nation. The current attempt to mutilate the Kenyan constitution would be like inflicting torture to every Kenyan who voted for it. The mutilators are the sons of the men, and perhaps women, who mutilated the Lancaster Constitution. It's Jomo Kenyatta and Jaramogi Oginga Odinga who removed Majimbo and the Senate from the Constitution, an earlier manifestation of devolution. Most Kenyans think or assume devolution is completely new in this country, but the idea of devolution is very, very entrenched in the foundations of this republic. Their sons, Uhuru and Raila, are the ones now trying to mutilate the current constitution. Reverend Timothy Njoya reminds us to remain vigilant and understand the power of history if we are to look at where we are heading. Dr. Ndi has also said that the constitution, we must remember, this progressive constitution was forced by the power of the people on the ruling elite or the political elite. And therefore, in 2013, most of you would remember, for whatever reason, we had the misfortune of having those who objected to this people-centered constitution entrusted with the power of its implementation. And we have seen the consequences 7 or 8 years later. It is time to reclaim the power of the people and protect the constitution. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to invite Dina Agai to speak to us. Dina, thank you. Let's clap for Dina.
Bwana asifiwe. Bwana asifiwe tena. Mbona hatuna sauti? Bwana asifiwe. Kwa majina ni Dina Agai na mimi ni mwanaharakati na pia mimi ni Mkenya mzalendo. Na leo hii nimepatiwa fursa ya kuungana na nyinyi ili tuweze kuzungumzia vile ambavyo nchi yetu inaendeshwa. Kama vile Dr. Ndi amesema, nchi yetu iko katika nafasi mbaya sana kwa wakati huu. Na inaonekana viongozi ambao tunao hawana huruma na sisi na hawatatushughulikia. Na ndio maana ni jambo la muhimu sisi kama wananchi tujitokeze na tupiganie nafasi hii ya kusimamia ukweli na kutetea katiba. Vuguvugu linaitwa Linda Katiba na hapo imeandikwa tekeleza katiba. Kitu ambacho viongozi wetu wameshindwa kufanya na sasa wanatuambia eti njia peke yake ambayo wanaweza kusaidia nayo mwananchi wa Kenya ama wananchi wa Kenya ni kuleta mabadiliko katika katiba. Mabadiliko ambayo Wakenya wengi hawakubaliani nayo. Lakini wao viongozi wanaona ni mabadiliko ambayo ni mazuri. Ningependa kusema wakati huu uchumi wetu ni mbaya zaidi kwa kila mtu. Hata wale matajiri wanalia. Niambie ule maskini oehae kule chini anaishi vipi? Ikiwa rais wetu Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta na ndugu yake Raila Amolo Odinga wamesahau nyuso za wale ambao wamekuwa wakiwachagua na kuwapatia hizo nafasi. Kwa sababu Mkenya leo hii anaumia na uchumi wetu umenajisiwa na hao viongozi wetu ndio wamenajisi uchumi. Na sasa wanatuambia wanataka kutenga pesa tuwe na referendum ili tuongeze viti, ili tuongeze maeneo bunge, ili tuongeze nafasi za kazi kwa wao, sio kwetu, kwa wao. Na wakati huu pia ndio wakati ambao dunia nzima inakumbana na virusi vya COVID-19. Sasa niwaulize wananchi wa Kenya, hao ni watu wanataka kutusaidia ama hao ni magaidi? Tofauti ya wao na magaidi kunayo? Hakuna, kwa sababu saa hizi ukienda hospitalini hakuna dawa. Wakenya hawana pesa za kwenda hospitali. Wakenya wamefukuzwa kazini. Wakenya hawezi kukopeshwa because wamekopesha na hawajalipa. Nchi yenyewe kila wakati unaona kwa magazeti, waziri wa fedha Ukur Yatani anasema kila siku anataka kukopeshwa pesa. Juzi amesema anataka trilioni. Anataka kukopeshwa tena trilioni. Kumaanisha Mkenya wa kawaida bado anazidi tu kukandamizwa. Ndio maana nasema hivi leo, tujiulize, BBI ukiangalia kutoka kwako nyumbani na watoto wako na familia yako, unaona itakufaidisha ama itakufaidisha? Mimi kutoka kwangu BBI haitanifaidisha. Kwanza kabisa kwa sababu Rais Uhuru akichaguliwa alituambia watoto wetu, mimi ni mama, nina watoto ambao wanafaa kuwa wanafanya kazi. Wamesoma, wamehitimu, lakini hawana kazi. Alisema vijana, serikali yake itashughulikia kazi kwa vijana. Leo hii kazi yoyote ikitokea, unaona, na naheshimu wazee, lakini unaona anapatia mpaka mzee wa miaka 80 anampatia kazi. Lakini sisi vijana wetu, watoto wetu wanaambiwa wao wangoje uongozi bado. Hao wazee ndio wanapatiwa makazi. Vijana wako hapa nje wana nguvu, wamesoma na wana njaa. Na hiyo ni shida kubwa sana. Tunaambiwa pia kina mama ya kuwa tumepigania mambo ya thuluthi mbili. Siku mingi tumepigania thuluthi mbili. Rais na ndugu yake tena wakasema vile ambavyo hao wanasimama na kina mama tena wana support. Lakini ikifika bungeni vile ambavyo sasa hivi wana whip viongozi kupitisha BBI hawako. Kwa hivyo thuluthi mbili ya kina mama imeshindikana. Lakini tunaambiwa BBI itatekeleza hiyo thuluthi mbili. Kweli utakubali mtu amekuwa akikudanganya kila siku akudanganye tena? Kwani Wakenya hatuoni kama kina mama? Tunaona. Alafu tena juzi, si hata juzi, nadhani ni jana ama siku mbili iliyopita, Rais anaongelelea building bridges, kutangamana kama Wakenya. Alafu Rais kwa sababu anaona hii BBI ni muhimu sana, anachukua jamii moja kutoka katika nchi, anawachukua, anawatenga, alafu anawaambia hii na hii na hii kwa hii BBI itatusaidia sisi kama jamii. Rais ni baba wa taifa. Rais si rais wa sehemu moja ya Kenya, ni baba wa taifa. Sasa kwa kufanya hivyo, anatuonyesha sisi ni nchi moja ama anatugawa? Anatugawa. Na anasema tuna build bridges, yeye na ndugu yake. Wakenya, ningependa kuwahimiza tukumbuke kukumbuka. Nimesikia Madam Martha Karua, mama yetu, akisema let us remember to remember. Kwa sababu tunasahau kwa haraka sana. Na wanasiasa wametuelewa hivyo. Tunasahau kwa haraka sana. Leo hii baba na rais ni mandugu. Lakini jana mimi na wewe tulikuwa barabarani tukipigania sehemu tofauti tofauti. Leo hii wako pamoja. Je, sisi tuko wapi? Ningependa kusema nikimalizia ningependa kusema hivi. Rais ameenda mpaka ameonelea ni vizuri kuinduce, ni kama kununua wale wabunge ili wapitishe BBI. Anawaambia atatumia bilioni 4.5 ili wanunuliwa magari, na ni grant, ni pesa yamepewa, halipi. Lakini kumbuka, daktari hajalipwa, muuguzi hajalipwa, watoto wetu chini ya mti wanasoma chini ya mti. Mvua ikinyesha watoto wetu watakuwa wapi? Madarasa hayatoshi. Na tunakumbana na virusi vya COVID-19. Lakini tunaambiwa BBI lazima ipitishwe. Na lazima ipitishwe hata kama bilioni 4.5 itatumika. Na unaona wale viongozi tumechagua, ukiwaona huko Nyeri, walikuwa na furaha sana. Wakati rais alisema hivyo, walikuwa na furaha sana. Kwa sababu hawatujali. Ndio maana katiba haijitekelezi peke yake. Wewe na mimi lazima tushikane mikono tutekeleze katiba. Hizi si vitu kama vile Wangare Maathai alisema. Sio matunda imewekwa tu alafu unazikula. Hata tumeona Amerika. Hizi ni vitu lazima tuzidi kupigania kila siku. Kila siku. Tusipofanya hivyo tutaumia, na tunaumia hata saa hizi. Ningependa kuhimiza kila mtu ambaye yuko hapa. Ukienda nyumbani, jaribu kuongelesha mwenzako, umwambie hii BBI ni sumu na tukiipitisha tutaumia. Saa hii maziwa simepanda. Saa hii mkate simepanda. Saa hii unga simepanda. Saa hii magonjwa si yamezidi ya akili. Saa hii hata makao bibi na bwana wanasikizana. Saa hii vijana wetu wanaweza hata oa, hawaezi. Kwa sababu mtu amekaa akaona njia rahisi ya kukatalia kiti asitoke, na mwingine ameona njia rahisi ya kuingia katika ikulu. Kwa hivyo ningewaomba kila mtu, tafadhali tushikane. Hatujakuja hapa kupiga kelele bila kujua ni nini tunafanya. Tunapigania nchi. Na tunapigania nchi kwa sababu sisi tutatoka, watoto wetu watakuja. Na tusiposhikana mikono, hao watu nimesema ni magaidi, terrorists. Zile vitu wanafanya ni vitu ambavyo ni magaidi wanafanya. Mtu anakunyima chakula, mtu anakunyima masomo, mtu anakunyima njia ya kuenda hospitali. Huo ni gaidi na ni matapeli. Na ningependa kusema nikimalizia, rais na ndugu yako, tafadhali wacheni kutapeli wa Kenya. Asanteni.
Wananchi tunang'ang'ana, kila siku tunapambana, na tumechoka. Wananchi tunang'ang'ana.
Thank you, Dina. Agai, Kiswahili sio mdomo changu. Lakini nimeona tunapambana. Umezungumzia wabaka uchumi. It is true that we don't know what is in one single final document that is BBI. I mean, that has been a very long conversation. Launches zimekuwa mingi, si ndio? I think mara hii, kesho hii, so. But there are a few truths or suspicions we have about BBI. It is important to have principled objection to things or support of things. And as an individual, you could develop a case for BBI as a citizen or a case against BBI. Three things are particularly important for me in the case against BBI. As we proceed, I'll mention some of them, but I'll first start with a very memorable quote from His Excellency the President in 2017. You, my brother, Raila, my brother wasn't there at that point, so it's you, Raila, now want to use 20 billion Kenya shillings to amend the constitution, which you had stood ground and said not even a comma or a full stop will be removed. But since you have failed to ascend to power, you now want us to change the constitution. How many times will we amend the constitution? That was President Kenyatta in 2017. The young people in this country have been promised a lot of things. Women of this country have been promised a lot of things. Everybody who matters has been promised things in this BBI maneno. If you have not been promised as an individual, you are missing out. There is a promise for everyone in this BBI. The women of this republic have been promised that BBI will fix the historic gender two-thirds robbery without violence since 2010. That finally BBI will fix it. And I'll tell you why it will not. Because BBI is about lies. If the Kenyan people and voters did not elect enough women to meet the requirements of gender two-thirds, or not more than two-thirds, as the provision requires, we can blame Kenyans as voters. But it is the executive prerogative of the president, who has immense appointive authority. So I want you to look at all appointive positions that are only directly in the preserve of the president. So forget the elections and parliament. Is cabinet constitutional with regard to gender two-thirds? It is not. Look at our parastatals and let me know if it is for lack of capable, accomplished girls and women in this republic that we have a dominance of men appointed to those positions. Look at ambassadorial appointments. I mean, look at all appointive positions. So forget for a moment the failure of the Kenyan voter to elect a sufficient number of women. We are seeking to cure lack of constitutionalism by making more amendments. What makes you think that after the women have passed this BBI, or the youth have passed it, the promises that you have been given will be kept, and that they will not cherry pick the most fundamental aspects of what they wanted and take you back to broken promises, as we have broken the promises that the Constitution gave to the men and women and young people of this country through the Constitution of Kenya 2010. The case against BBI is that it is fronted by people who cannot be trusted to keep their word. Even if you accepted those promises today, in 2023 you might be asked, Olisikia wapi? As they pick what they wanted and trash all that they told you they will do, but they are not interested in doing. It is a diminished level of trust. That is an important thing to remember as we say why we must build a case against BBI. The second one, and I'll stop there as I prepare to welcome Jerotich Sei, is in terms of just basic priorities for this country. Over the last 12 or 16 or 18 months, this country has faced some of the most immense challenges. Historically, a government's most important, if not sacred, responsibility is to protect its citizens. And where a government cannot protect its citizens, it must not harm them. In the last 18 months, we have not just seen failure to protect citizens and prioritize their rights, we have also seen a government that is actively undermining those rights. We are aware of COVID billionaires. We have seen loss of resources. We have seen a government abandon its people at their greatest hour of need, when other governments elsewhere are justifying why governments exist. We have seen taxation into starvation. We have seen government-led corruption. 2 weeks ago, the president reminded us that he is 100% in charge of this government. In the same breath, he reminded us that every day, the government for which he is 100% in charge steals from Kenyans and themselves at least 2 billion Kenya shillings. Now, if you know government, when the government confesses to 2 billion, multiply it by 3 to get the near actual figure. So we are talking about 6 billion per day by the executive, chief executive of this country. He's also the president who's told us, munataka nifanye. The case against BBI is a case against fundamental failure of leadership at every level. If those are the people you want to trust to bring redemption to this country, then our marking scheme is totally flawed. I am informed that I should bring in Sheikh Abdullahi to speak to us just before Jerotich. Let's give him a round of applause and encouragement.
Assalamu alaikum. Frankly, I was not prepared to come and talk. I was coming here to listen, and the little I have heard so far has made me, in fact, more emotional than my previous feelings about the BBI and all the governance that takes place in this country. As a Kenyan, I participated in the struggle to get the constitution which we do have now. Most of you are young, might not remember. I was a member of the 24-person steering committee of the Ufungamano. We struggled when President Moi wanted to come and nominate people of his choice to make the constitution for the people of Kenya. It is through the religious leadership, Christians and Muslims, that we stood firm and we said no. We formed what was called the People's Commission, which was running parallel to Moi's commission. And it is through the leadership of the interfaith group that Kenya stood firm and Moi could not implement what he wanted to do. As was referred to here, and I hear from Mheshimiwa Martha KARUA, alisema nini? Remember? Remember to remember. I'm just telling you that for us to remember what has happened in the past. We struggled to put a constitution together, and we don't need to belabor the point. The constitution we have in this country is the best, if not one of the best in the world. We are not embarrassed as Kenyans to talk about our constitution. We are proud of this constitution. And although it's a reality that any document done by a human being has always got faults, but the foundation of this constitution is one that provides what Kenyans want and what the people of Kenya aspire to. In that regard, for those of us, and I think most of the Kenyans,
We felt now, tukitumia lugha ya Kiswahili, tumefika. We have got a constitution that is going to guide us, a constitution that's going to change the welfare of Kenya, and that constitution's impact is going to be felt in every home and every house and every man and woman in this country. Regretfully, 10 years down the line, we have not seen the fruits of this constitution. However, we still have the foundation standing. And now, where are we today? Today we are talking about Linda Katiba. Protect the Katiba. It is not to implement the Katiba, but to protect that the Katiba does not disappear. Is that not the case? Yes. Okay. We struggle for this constitution to be in place. It's our duty, morally, and a duty to this nation and the people of this country, and the future of this country, that all of us, Kenyans, not only the ones in this room, all of us, the ones who believe in humanity, the ones who believe in this country, the ones who are patriotic to this nation, have to stand up firm to Linda the Katiba. I come from a place called Mandera. Unfortunately, it is the tip where Kenya, Ethiopia, and Somalia meet. We have a lot of problems. As I sit and as I stand and talk to you here, there is fighting going on in that place at the moment. I don't want to go into those details for the time being. But it also gives us the opportunity to learn what's happening within our neighbors' territory. I also happen to be a Somali. That fact also makes me know what's happening more in Somalia. Somalia is no longer a state for the last almost 30 years. Somalia is a country of one people, of one language, of one religion, of one ethnic group. You don't need a historian to tell you what Somalia is today. But we have to learn from what has happened in Somalia. 5 years, or almost 7 years before Siad Barre ran away from the country, Somalia was in the state where Kenya is in today. And I'm not overblowing the situation. What happened is tribal chiefs were created. The tribal chiefs were given positions. The tribal chiefs were looting the state. The tribal chiefs started forming their own armies. They went into their own small territories. They mobilized their own people, and they became an entity themselves. A community that calls itself Somali is no longer Somali. It's this clan and that clan and that clan. Brothers and sisters, are you seeing a similarity of that happening in this country? Continuously we are being told about positions will be shared. Every community will get its share, and there will be no problem after elections. If we take, for example, I don't know, the population of the Kikuyu community, let's say there are even 7 million for argument's sake. Are the 7 million people going to get the share of what's going to be shared at the top? Are the Luos going to get their share on the base of the population? We are talking about tribal chiefs who are going to get that. What we are creating in this country is what in Somalia is called the warlords. We are getting tribal warlords that are being created in this country for the purpose of facilitating, oiling this move of BBI to change the constitution to serve individuals at that top level. We have lost everything in this country. Instead of gaining, we have lost. We are losing education. I don't need to repeat this, has been said by the earlier speakers. My lady was a very good orator, he has spoken about it. The other gentlemen will speak about it. I don't want to repeat all those things. We have lost education. We don't have health services. We don't have security. We don't have security. The prime duty of a nation is to provide security for its people. If you go around, even the rich ones, they barricade themselves behind walls, behind barbed wires, behind dogs and everything else. There's no security. We don't have food. We are starving. Let's not cheat ourselves because we are in Serena Hotel. Our brothers and sisters are starving. They cannot afford to buy 2 kilograms of maize meal a day to feed their children. We are talking about spending billions. I don't want to continue with this matter. I don't want to continue talking. I get emotional about this issue. It is our duty and responsibility. Every Kenyan, this country does not belong to Raila. It does not belong to Uhuru. It does not belong to those 5 warlords. It does not talk to those people in Parliament and Senate. And I want to just tell you a simple thing which happened recently. There was a gathering, there was an event that actually we were raising funds for somebody who was sick. I happened to be there. And this is from Mandera, every political leader from Mandera was there. The governor spoke, the senator spoke, and one more MP spoke, all in favor of BBI. If you look at the BBI, the first losers will be the minorities. First losers. Because the one shilling, one vote, one person, Mandera has got the lowest population. They will be the losers. They will get a third of what they are getting at the moment. Can you imagine the governor, who is going to be the custodian of the revenue which is going to be given to them, accepting his own revenue to be cut down? Doesn't that raise the question? The same thing for the other ones. Why are they doing that? They are thieves. They are thugs. They have dipped their fingers into the pot. They have stolen public funds. They can't open their mouths to speak against anything when it touches on the government. As they closed the event, two of the MPs came to me and whispered something to me. They told me, we are with you 100%. We can't dare to open our mouth. Please go ahead and do what you are doing. That gives you an example of what the top political leadership in this country are. They will never stand up for you because they have shared the loot at the top. I challenge somebody. We have got the PIC, and we have got the lady, Mheshimiwa yuko hapa, kuna Mheshimiwa mwingine hapa, they understand this thing better than me. I have not seen the PIC or the PAC, these parliamentary committees, gone to the level of prosecuting somebody because he has been found corrupt. I don't want to talk more. My dear daughters, brothers, and sisters, I think I have to stop here. I want to wind up by one thing. Please take this as a responsibility to you individually, a responsibility for yourself, for your brothers and sisters, a responsibility for the future of this country. We have to stand firm and reject, not only reject the BBI, reject the misgovernance that's going in this country, stand up firm and bring about changes in this country. Wassalamu alaikum.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Jerotich, the floor is all yours. After Jerotich, we are going to have a short skit and play. Then we are going to have Daisy Amdani. Then we'll have the final word from Honorable Martha KARUA. Thank you. And there's a cabbage.
Greetings, comrades. Greetings. Linda Katiba. Tekeleza Katiba. Linda Katiba. Linda Katiba. Thank you very much. Sheikh, I think we are reading from the same surah. We are the same hymn book, and thank you so much for your words. I have brought this here because sometime last year, a mother in Kwale boiled stones to get her children to fall asleep, making them think that food was cooking. So you boil stones in a sufuria, and they make noise and they rattle. That mama did not have money for even one cabbage, or the 2 kilos of maize you're talking about. I think some money was raised. I even hear that some of that money was stolen, and even one of her children died. Wakenya, when we stand here and we say Linda Katiba, there's nothing exceptional about you, a Kenyan woman, man, boy, girl, older, younger, saying, we have taken it upon ourselves to protect the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. You know, I see so many people rushing out to political rallies, risking COVID so that they can get this or that or the other. I have not seen an army of Kenyans who have decided on their own for the sake of their children and those not yet born, to take to the streets to say enough is enough. I stand here as an ordinary Kenyan who could be minding her own business somewhere else. We are all very used to minding our own business. We are all very used to taking a back seat and waiting to see who will stand up and fight for us. I often say, and you'll see me say, switch off KPLC. We cannot afford electricity. We cannot afford water. We cannot afford health care. A mother gave birth at the gates of Pumwani maternity not too long ago. And we're watching our leaders in their profligacy spend money spend billions of shillings that if you put 1,000 shillings in the hands of every woman today, she would know what to do. You drive up and down the streets of Nairobi and you see Mama Fua sitting there. They are waiting. They are looking for work. The pandemic has hit us hard. We are poor. Tell me if there's a single person in this room right now who isn't worried about a bill somewhere. School fees, rent, a loan, an aging parent. Think of all our sisters and brothers in the diaspora who are sending money faithfully to try and keep us afloat, while 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people continue to plunder this economy into the ground. Kenyans, we are fighting for this. We are fighting for this cabbage. We are fighting for food security. We are fighting for our economic and social rights as articulated in Article 43. We are saying that nobody should have to go to bed hungry, that no child should miss school. Wakenya wenzangu, when we stand here, we say, please, it is time to stop sitting in the back, to stop thinking that somebody else is going to fight for the implementation of the Constitution. The Constitution is a good document. It is a just document. It prevents discrimination on the basis of race or ethnicity or religion or culture. It has ended the discrimination against women, but watu wamekataa kutekeleza katiba. So, my fellow Kenyans, mine is brief. As a member of the Linda Katiba team, one of the conveners, there's nothing mystical about protecting the Constitution. We encourage you all to join us. Let us form a mighty army. Let us march for ourselves. Let us march in Mandera. Let us march in Mombasa. Let us march in Kisumu. Let us march in Nairobi, in Nakuru, in Eldoret, in Narok, everywhere. And say we want change and we want our Constitution to be protected so that mothers no longer have to boil stones to pacify their children to fall asleep. So that we can become a productive country. So that our economy can grow. How can our economy grow if we cannot even afford electricity, a basic means of production? If we cannot have water, sanitation. My fellow Kenyans, we have said enough is enough. And this business of changing the Constitution, of altering the Constitution, of massacring the Constitution, so that 1 or 2 or 3 families can remain in power for eternity, tumekata katakata. And we will step forward, we shall use our vote, we shall fight for our rights, and we are not going to wait until one day we see 30 years down the road, Kenya will be a cautionary tale to the rest of the continent. Let us rise up. Lindeni Katiba, tekeleza Katiba.
Let's clap for Jerotich again as we set the stage for the performance.
Wananchi tunang'ang'ana, kila siku tunapambana. Kenya 50+1 na bado tuko minus. Jukuna watu flani hawatu mind us. Wananchi tuna mind, mbona walafi watuongoza? Wanatutawala, juu wametugawanya.
The first thing we do when we vote our leaders in is divide ourselves. Well, the first thing that they do when they get to parliament is unite themselves and demand for a pay rise. MP, MCA.
Tumechoka kuibiwa, tumechoka kuingizwa, tumechoka kupewa ahadi, kunyimwa miradi. Wananchi tunang'ang'ana, kila siku tunapambana. Na tumechoka. Wananchi tunang'ang'ana, kila siku tunapambana. Walking nation tangu 63. Zaidi ya 40 million voices.
Tuna make wrong choices. Tumesahau people's power, ni mightier than the people in power. Wako kwa mikono zetu kama fist, tumewapatia 5 years. What tuna need ni their 2 years. Wasikie hizi sauti.
kuingizwa tumechoka, kupewa ahadi, kunyimwa miradi. Wananchi tunang'ang'ana, kila siku tunapambana, na tumechoka. Wananchi tunang'ang'ana, kila siku tunapambana.
Hizi vidole zimekonda kwa njaa, zitastango shingo zimenona kwa kunyakua, vichwa zililipuliwa, ubongo kwa mchanga. Ndio nikaona walithink serikali tawalinda, either Al-Shabaab ama njaa, leaders corrupt, gani tawaua fast. Hata ujificha na tint, tunajua harufu ya chicken venye ina stink. Reaction ya Kemit sip tea, mbegu 310 ya good bargain na to cost too high. Mwili zina rot kwa ground, land fertile for you to come and grab.
Miaka nenda miaka rudi, story ni vile kibeba mzigo kila siku. One day I say, so we have to push for change. First I have to change myself. Nachukua hatua, I hope tuko pamoja, wewe na wewe. I say
Check.
Haya. Haya. Nafunga vibaya.
My brother.
Hey, my brother.
Jay.
Mr. Ray.
Yes, Jay.
Yeah.
My brother.
This thing is heavy, yeah? All right. Okay.
Jay. Yo mzigo. It's fragile. It's fragile.
Okay.
Beba pole pole.
All right.
This thing is fragile.
Songa hivi.
Jay, vuta pole tu.
Okay.
Haya. Usiniachilie bana. Jayden bana. Usiniachilie hii.
Mr. Ray, pole.
No. Uzito yote iko pande yangu Jay.
All right.
Okay. Pole. Pole. Jay. Please, nitavunjika hii pande.
Okay.
Usiniachilie sana.
Take hapo.
Sukuma basi ile pande yako huko. Haya. Hapo.
My brother. You know, I didn't know utakuwa na mzigo kubwa hivi.
My brother, wakati nilikwambia nahamia hapa, ulikuwa unafikiria nakuja peke yangu?
Nilifikiria unakuja peke yako.
Hapa nimebeba mzigo yangu na ya vijana wangu. Yes, so vijana wangu watatujoin anytime from now.
Unajua, tulipokuwa tukisalimiana,
yes.
You know, I thought you were coming alone. I didn't know you were coming with your team.
No, Jay, my brother, hawezi anza hizo saa hii. Hakuna, kwani mimi utembea peke yangu?
No, I mean that's what I thought.
I walk with that team, Jay. I walk with that team. Lazima nitembee na vijana wananizunguka, so there is no way you are going to expect na kuja peke yangu.
It's okay, no problem.
Yes.
What you are going to do, mtakuja tu pamoja tujifinyilie kwa kabed sita, tutajua vile tutajipanga.
No. Excuse my brother. This is not even a bed sitter. This is a single room. Halafu unaniambia tukuje tujifinyilie. Mimi na vijana wangu tumekuwa tukijifinyilia huko all the time. Tumekuwa tukijifinyilia. I thought I was coming to a better place. Sasa unaniambia tukuje tena hapa tujifinyilie. It's okay. My brother. Wacha niende.
No, just relax.
Wewe utajua choices have consequences.
No, relax. What do you mean choices have consequences?
Achana na mzigo yangu nijibebe.
Relax. Wait, my brother.
No, my brother.
The problem with you are stubborn.
Tusikosane, my brother. Sitaki ionekane ati sasa mimi najilazimisha kukuja kwako. Sawa?
Si hivyo. No, listen. Kulikuwa tuna miscommunication.
Hakuna miscommunication,
my
brother. No,
it's okay. What we are going to do.
You knew what you were getting into, my brother.
Relax.
Okay.
Relax.
If you insist.
I have a plan.
You have a minute?
Yes.
I give you a minute.
What we're going to do, tukae hapa tu kidogo, as I make a plan, Me and you can make a plan. We move into a bigger house. Mali kila mtu atakuwa, I mean, like a 5-bedroom house. Where everyone will have a room to themselves.
Yes.
It is simple.
Now you are talking. Sasa unaongea, my brother.
That's the plan. Look at the bigger picture, my friend.
Ulikuwa umenishtua.
No, don't worry about this.
Okay.
Yes.
A bigger house,
5 bedrooms. Oh yes.
Mahali kuna swimming pool.
Kuna ka swimming pool hivi.
Unaelewa?
There is an inbuilt bar.
Bar.
Yeah.
My brother. Wewe bar haiwezi kosa mahali huko.
Wewe wacha hiyo wewe. Acha hivyo. Hapana. Just for entertainment.
No, wewe na bar ni hivi.
It's just for entertainment.
No wonder watu wako wanakuita majina Jayden Wanjohi.
Wewe.
Wa Munyota. Jameson.
Acha, those are just jokes.
Si ni watu wako wanakuita hivi.
Ni sawa. I don't even know what they call me nowadays. So mimi niliwaondokea.
Wewe ulihepa.
Nilihepa, nilisema hiyo maneno mimi siozani nayo. But those are just jokes. Just talk. It's like you, si wewe wanakuitanga mganga. Is it true?
My brother.
Is it true? No, tell me, but is it true?
No, my brother.
Si wanakuitanga mtu wa vitendawili. Is it true?
Haikuwa tena ikuwe personal.
No. I mean, I'm just saying, we are just talking, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wananiita mganga na mchawi, lakini wewe kwanza my brother ndio ulifundisha watu wako. All over ukiambia watu wako ukinichomea, please, wakati tutatulia, you need to make one lap. Uende ukisafisha.
My friend.
Enda ukisafisha mahali ulichoma.
I have made a plan. Mimi ni Simba. Na ngoja tu kuguruma hivi. Wataingia line wote. So, feel at home.
Wewe si paka amenyeshewa.
Wacha mambo yako. Feel at home. Just relax.
Yes.
You can have a drink. Yes, karibu.
Kila kitu hapa inapimwa before again. Siwezi letoa mzinga yote hapa.
No, relax. Mambo iko sawa. Cheers, my brother.
My brother.
He himself. Ako kanagonga mahali kanafaa.
Nakwambia.
Unakasikia?
This is the place to be.
This is the place to be.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Kutoka saa hii, mtu yoyote akijaribu kutusimamisha. The message is one. Nobody can stop reggae.
Nobody can stop reggae.
Yes.
No one is going to stop reggae.
No one is going to. Hakuna. Watanyoka
wote.
Nobody can stop reggae. Nobody can stop reggae. Nobody can stop reggae. Cause reggae is strong. Cheers, my brother.
Hiya. Hey!
Oh, Wanjiko, my wife. How have you been?
How have I been?
How have you been? Welcome back. Can you see it?
Ngoja, kwani kuna sherehe na sijaambiwa?
Yes, I mean, we are celebrating. You see what happened? I invited my brother over. He's moving in with us. You know, you were complaining that kuna vile sikutoshelezi mahitaji yako. You have to get a reinforcement, eh?
Yes.
So huyu anakuja kunisaidia so that tukue strong.
Anakuja kama machinery.
Na hakuji peke yake.
Anakuja na vijana
yake na vijana wake. Yeah, good news. Good. I knew, you see? I knew should be excited.
No, are you serious?
Oh yes, I am.
Akiona. Already nyumba iko crowded. Tutaletaje watu wengine hapa?
No, don't worry about that. We have already made a plan. I mean, we are men with a vision.
Yes.
Yeah, we look at the bigger picture. What is going to happen? In fact, we are moving. We are moving into a big house, probably a 5-bedroom house with a big parking.
Yes.
I mean, an inbuilt bar.
My brother
a
has
swimming
an
pool. I have an agenda.
Na nimekuja kumsaidia. He has something big for agenda. Utaielewa tukiendelea.
Yes.
But nimekuja kusaidia.
Which you cannot understand. But trust me. When God utaona how things are going to change.
You will be happy.
You will be happy. A swimming pool.
Unajisikiliza ukiongea?
Yes.
Surely, how do you think of moving out to a bigger house yet already umeshindwa kulipia hii bed sita rent? Tumeshindwa na bills ndogo, bills za stima na maji, and you have the guts to think about a swimming pool.
Yes. You see what is going to happen? What is
Ziko wapi zile pesa zilikuwa hapa?
Mimi sijachukua kitu, my brother.
Pesa gani unasema?
Si hapa kulikuwa na pesa.
Okay. I remember. Oh yes, kulikuwa na pesa hapo. Now what happened? Hiyo pesa ndo nilichukua nikanunua drink for my brother so that we can celebrate.
Surely. Pesa za watoi za shule na food na hosi. Umechukua alafu ndo ulishe huyu.
No, don't worry about food. I mean, it's not a must wa kule kila siku. And then again about pesa za hospitali. In fact, what they need to do wanafaa wache kuenda hiyo mambo ya hospitali. Because when we drink this, we become entertainers. Yes. And you know they say laughter is the best medicine.
Yes.
Oh yes, so don't worry about that.
Yeah. Actually, ile kitu tunasema, what your kids need now in the time of a pandemic ni entertainment.
Entertainment.
That's why we are here.
That's why we are here.
Yes.
Hata mna adabu. You're my husband, but you are a liability. Mimi ndo nakulisha na nakupatia pesa ya entertainment. Alafu unaniletea huyu.
No. Yeah.
Afanyeni hivi vichwa.
Yeah.
Hapo kuna akili.
Oh yes.
Container tu za kubebea men.
No, listen.
If we have no money for small things, tumeshindwa. Ona, there's nothing to eat.
No.
If we have no money for small things, so wapi pesa za big things?
We have a plan. Yeah, we are going to introduce austerity measures. You know, I mean, Wanjiko, you are very extravagant. Hiyo mambo yako ya kuenda machama na kwanza itakoma. Hiyo
pesa ndio inatulisha.
And again, who said you have to eat 3 meals a day?
Who said?
Yes.
Should I eat?
Once a week.
Yes.
So that hiyo pesa tumesave kutoka kwako. I mean, we can use it. I mean, kujali maslahi ya my brother and the team.
Sure.
Yes.
Mimi na vijana wangu tusikae njaa.
Oh yeah.
Na wacha tu tuangalie mambo practically here. Wacha tuangalie mambo practically. Sai unaishi kwa a single room. Yes. I think muko na shared bathrooms, shared toilets, mnapigana na mama wengine pale kwa sink, mnapigana kwa kamba. My brother is planning to move to a bigger house so that everyone atafurahia mambo privately. Unaelewa?
But that is what we can afford right now.
There is no but. My brother, wacha niulize my wife swali.
Oh yes.
I'm not your wife. I'm not your wife.
No. I mean, changu ni chake, yes. Chake ni changu. I mean, it's one and the same thing.
After all, tumekuja kusaidiana
my brother. Talk to her.
Tumekuja kusaidiana hii kitu. So my wife, who is my brother's wife, wacha nikuulize, unaoga mara ngapi kwa siku?
Mara 2 kwa siku.
Sikia my brother,
Wastage.
2 times in a day. My brother tulikuwa tunaoga mara ngapi when we were growing up? Once a week. Hizi siku zingine unanawa mkono, uso, unalala.
That's enough.
And you are okay. Now, my wife, who is my brother's wife?
I'm not your wife.
Okay, iko hivi, please. If you adapt to those same measures.
Nioge mara moja kwa wiki.
Please, angalau tutaweza kubakisha maji, tunaweza weka hadi kwa swimming pool. Life will be fun for everyone.
Simple.
Yes.
Sasa hizo ndoto zenyu.
Oh yes. Look at the bigger picture, Wanjiko.
Yes.
What is the vitu ndogo? You're hungry today, usijui nini.
Yes.
No, look at that.
Don't be myopic.
Vizuri kuota.
Ona mbali.
Najaribu kuona mbali. But you need to know that in this house, we are governed by a constitution that guarantees rights for everyone, not just some people. Nyinyi kenye mnafikiria ni kukula, kukunywa, kucheza, kulala. Nothing else. Hata hamna adabu.
I mean, don't worry about the constitution.
Yes.
I mean, we've already made a plan.
Brother,
my brother. What we are going to do, we are going to change it. We are going to change it.
You don't even have to worry about it.
Yes. We will change so that everything, every plan we have, inaweza ingiana.
Put it aside for a while.
We just put it aside for a while. It's just for a while.
At least so that we can accommodate everyone.
Oh yes, you know,
my brother.
I mean, our constitution is made for the people,
yes.
and not the people
for the constitution.
Shame on you. Shame on all of you. Nilikuwa nafikiria nyinyi ni watu wazima, but you're not. Nimechoka kusacrifice a good life for myself and my kids just so that you can have a comfortable life. Kutoka nijuane na nyinyi, you have been nothing but parasites. Watoto wangu wanafanya kazi, but mnasema ni kazi kwa vijana na pesa kwa wazee.
Of course. Ndio. That is the way it's supposed to be.
Oh yes.
Kwa nini wazee wafanye kazi vijana wakule?
I'm not even 60 years old, lakini ukiniangalia utafikiria mimi ni mtu mzee sana. Nimechoka. And I'm going to build this house again from dust for the sake of my kids na mimi. Enough is enough.
No, don't worry.
Hizi ni gani?
Kelele tu, unajua Wanjiko anapenda kelele. But tumemzoea.
I'm in control of this house.
No, ni kelele tu hapana kuanga na.
I'm in control of this house. Na nitaijenga from ground up. So it's either you shape up or ship out.
No, but don't panic, my brother.
Siwezi ishi na kelele hivi.
Wanjiko wamezoea kelele. Unajua hawa kelele kidogo atoe hashtag kidogo afanye nini, then after 1 or 2 days amenyamaza. So don't worry, hii ni kelele ya chura na izui ng'ombe kunywa maji.
Chura imenichekesha. Sasa Wanjiko umesikia hiyo chura? kelele ya chura wachana nayo kabisa.
Kabisa.
My brother, you are very funny. You should be a comedian.
I already am, don't worry.
Kelele ya chura. Ongeeni tu, but sitachoka. Hiyo sheria mnasema mbadilishe. In this house, it's the only thing that protects me. It guarantees me a right to good health, a right to education, a right to have a family and access justice, a right to have clean and safe water, a right to be free from hunger. Now, just in case mmesahau, that and much more, iko kwa Article 43 of that document mmechoose kudisrespect na kudisobey. So nitawaambia kwa mara ya mwisho. Are you going to protect the constitution of this house or not? Juu kama mnai-protect, sawa, you can stay. But if not, kanyangeni frame and step out.
Don't worry, my brother.
My brother, mimi wakati I was coming with my baggage, my luggage, nilikuwa najua I have found a home.
No, don't worry. Don't worry. We have options.
We have options.
We have options.
Hey.
Kelele tu
And
wanakuja.
then,
My brother,
We have options.
shame on
my
you.
brother, kwani mzigo nitabeba peke yangu? Eh?
Don't worry.
We have options.
We have options.
Baki hapo.
Oh yes, we have options.
Nobody can stop reggae.
Nobody can stop. Hii kitu
Nenda
itapita.
maregezeni.
Yes.
Hata hamna adabu. We've known your true colors.
Kaa
You'd
huko.
rather die for what you protect than protect that you are so.
Rot
that
with
you are
your
so to
children.
protect. Hata hamna adabu. What about you, my children? Will you join me in protecting this constitution? Ama pia nyinyi mtaenda. The time is now. We have to take care of ourselves because nobody else will. Tumegutuka na tutalinda katiba with everything we have. Arise. Tuungane. Tulinde katiba. If you are with us, tunasema karibu sana. If you're against us, tunasema the door is open. Kanyanga frame. Thank you.
Nalipa tax na hata siwezi afford kupanda taxi. Kwa banki sina kakitu siwezi afford hata shati. Maji nanywa ya kanjo yako ya chupa za mapambo. Nalipia mtoto wako elimu ya bure ya juu. Unanipa ya bure lakini ya ujuu. Oh no. So nitapata wapi majibu ya maswali? Mahindi lienda wapi? Pia shilingi ya shule za msingi. Paula mtume, mbona jela usimtume? Lazima abuniwe tume. Lazima abuniwe tume. Mapenzi ndizo hali mabasa tulificha kwa kabati. Kazi kwa vijana, pesa kwa wazee.
Let's give one round of applause to the artists. It's a very, very, very vivid representation of the dilemmas we face as a people. And I think the challenge is to us. What will you do? Selfishly, for yourself, for the sake of ourselves, and those who come after us for the sake of the Constitution. I want to invite us, those who are engaged online, with the hashtag Linda Katiba, in case I'm told there is quite a vibrant conversation ongoing. Linda Katiba is the hashtag that we are using. I want to invite Daisy Amdani to inspire us, to tell us one or two and then finally invite Honorable KARUA to close the session. Let's welcome Daisy.
Thank you, and good afternoon. Good afternoon. Msiniambie mumechoka. Safari bado. If we are talking about kulinda Katiba, we have to be more energized than this. My message today will simply be repeating some of the things that have been said here, but I want to speak mainly to the women of Kenya, because it is important that the women understand that they are being co-opted to erase their gains. They are being mobilized and they are being deceived once again. You know, when the Constitution 2010, when the referendum campaigns were being done, the women were told, this is your document. Wamama wakati wenu ni sasa, na kama si sasa, ni sasa hivi. Simuliambiwa hivo. And we were told that this constitution was what women needed. And it is true, because for the first time since independent Kenya, we have a constitution that recognizes women as bona fide citizens. Women who are over half of the population, who had been set apart and ignored by the Independence Constitution. The Constitution 2010 gives them guarantees, same as their male counterparts. It gives women equal rights, economic, political, and social rights. And so the women mobilized, even though we know that majority of the women are very religious, and the religious leaders had reservations, but the women, they mobilized and they said, you know what, this Katiba ni yetu. But no sooner it was passed, the same people today who told you that this is the document for you, arose and they said, what do women want? Women want free things. Oh, women are looking just for things to find them in their bed. They refused to implement it. They refused. And in fact, I always say this, that the thing that President Uhuru Kenyatta and his administration, which is the first administration that was elected under this new constitution, the thing that they used to begin to undermine the constitution was the 2/3 gender principle. Because you see, my fellow Kenyans, if you can successfully exclude over half of your population from economic, social, and political rights, then everything else is fair game. And when we were shouting, implement the 2/3, people said, it's a women's issue. We told you it is a constitutional issue, because if they will not follow the constitution for women, then they are going to stop following it for everything else. And here we are today. We do not recognize our country. The rule of law is dead. The constitutionalism is dead. We are led by the whims of individuals who wake up one morning and decide how things will go. It is very unpredictable. There are calls for women. Women are being told, women's gains in the BBI. You are being mobilized. Articles are being written by women who have benefited from affirmative action, are telling women today, there are gains for you. But there is nothing for you in BBI, women. Let me tell you, there is nothing. BBI is taking away the 47 seats for women. You are being told they are being taken to the Senate. The Senate has been weakened in the BBI. The National Assembly has been strengthened. And they have added many other things, but that is where they have removed women. There is nothing for you in BBI. Furthermore, that you may know, Kenyans, that there is nothing in BBI for you. They have refused to let you read BBI. How many of you here have actually seen the Constitution Amendment Bill that they are proposing for a referendum? How many of you have seen it? Let me see by a show of hands. It is like a moving target. What was unveiled in KIC, in Bomas is different from what was unveiled in KICC, and we have no idea what has gone to the counties. How does a country, how does a government propose to amend 14 clauses of a constitution that has 18 clauses and not allow citizens to see it unless they know that if you see it, you will understand it has nothing for you? Women need to understand that BBI has nothing for us. The Constitution 2010 is our safeguard. They said they were not going to implement the 2/3 because it was going to bloat Parliament. Yet, they are proposing to bloat Parliament. Right now, they are proposing to bloat Parliament. They are proposing to increase the wage bill at a time when the wage bill cannot afford. And even as we fight for the 2/3 gender principle, remember, Parliament is facing dissolution. There is an order of the Chief Justice for the dissolution of Parliament. And Parliament should be dissolved. But because it's a women's issue, nobody cares. It is not a women's issue. It's a constitutional issue. BBI is a fraud, as my sister Dina has said. It's a fraud against the Kenyan people. The women of Kenya must unite to safeguard their gains in the Constitution 2010. BBI has no gains for you. Women, it has no gains for any Kenyan. But the people who will lose more are the women, because the women have not yet enjoyed the gains that we have been celebrating in the Constitution 2010. They say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But now if we are fooled thrice, the same people who have been lying to us, if there is one thing that President Uhuru Kenyatta is consistent in, he is consistently inconsistent and he is consistently dishonest when it comes to the women's issue. He cannot today, after 8 years of being in power, and remember he was Deputy Prime Minister at the promulgation of the Constitution, so he has been in government and he knows the promise that has been made to women. He cannot now turn around and tell us that suddenly he wants to give women something. He even stopped making promises to women. In 2013, he made a promise that they would implement. The Jubilee Manifesto even had a formula. 2017, he wasn't making any promises to women. Now, you can be sure the promise is a lie. And so, my fellow Kenyans, even though my message is directed at women, because as over half of the population, if women arise and we reject the notion of BBI, we reject the notion of a referendum at a time we cannot afford it, at a time when the country does not need it, we can bring down this agenda. And this is what we must do. And so my call is, women arise. Young people, young women, young people, you are the same people. The president is telling you this is in it for you. He is the same one who said he's not giving jobs to young people because young people are crooks. Do you remember this? It is important that you remember the things that they have said about us. It is time to remember. And as we remember, we must rise up to Linda Katiba. We must rise up to safeguard women's gains in the Constitution 2010. Nothing else will do. If we don't do this, then it is shame on us. It is we who are going to be fooled, nobody else. We are the losers. President Uhuru must retire. That should now be his legacy. His legacy is to leave Kenya in peace and retire. Leave our constitution intact. We reject BBI, we reject any notion of a referendum, and we demand that Katiba 2010 itekelezwe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daisy. 14 of the 18 clauses are being changed. What if we change the constitution so dramatically that after changing it, we are told the old constitution order no longer applies and President Uhuru Kenyatta, with all his successful governorship administration, is eligible to run for election again? 14 out of 18. It's a dramatic, bloodless coup against the people's constitution. We must be able to read the big picture. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your patience. We have come to very close to the end of the day's program. We are going to invite Honorable Martha KARUA, who needs very little, if any, introduction. To try to introduce her is to risk failure, catastrophic failure. So I will just be humble and say, Karibu Mheshimiwa KARUA to inspire and speak to us. Thank you. A round of applause.
Asante sana. I salute you all, and I salute those who have spoken before me. And before I begin, I want to acknowledge, remembering to remember is msemo wa msanii anaitwa Geshoki. So we are all remembering to remember after that quote by that msanii. We are gathered here today in this venue which has a historic significance. This is the venue where the National Accord was negotiated. And the National Accord helped us to return to the path of reconciliation and unity as a country after the 2007 post-election violence. It is the National Accord basically negotiated at this venue that facilitated the negotiation and passage of the 2010 Constitution, a constitution through which Kenyans expressed their need for transformation and gave the Constitution as a roadmap for that transformation. Unfortunately, the leadership has failed to faithfully implement the Constitution and actualize the aspirations of Kenyans as captured in the 2010 Constitution. Our Constitution, as we stand here, is under serious threat. It is under threat of being vandalized, cannibalized, destroyed before its full implementation and before Kenyans are able to benefit from it. This is a constitution which gives us, we the people, the power. It makes us the repository of all state power. It is we the people who donate the power to the three arms of government. It is we the people who donate power to all state corporations, to all state organs, and to all state officers. And it is we the people who can withdraw our donated power when it is abused or not implemented in accordance with the Constitution, which is the social contract between we the people and the people in leadership. This Constitution has given us the mandate as a people, each one of us individually, to uphold and defend it. And we must remember that we are the holders of the ultimate power. We therefore have the power and also the numbers, because those in leadership, both political and top positions of the government, are a minority. We, the people, are the majority. So we have the power and numbers to uphold and defend the Constitution in our own interest, in the interest of the majority. And this is a very important fact to remember, because when those in positions of power, the donnees of our power, when they thunder, we shudder and forget that we are the majority and we have the power to put things in order. And this has been said by those who spoke before me. In the last 8 years, our Constitution has been destroyed systematically through blatant failure to implement, erosion of the spirit of key provisions of the Constitution, as well as total disregard and contempt, even where the courts have provided clarity and direction. I need not go to examples, you know. The problem is not the Constitution. The problem is lack of implementation and a lack of constitutionalism among those charged with the responsibility of implementing it. Kenyans must reject BBI proposals in total because they represent the intentional misdiagnosis of what our problems are. Lack of and deliberate withholding of information concerning BBI, constitutional amendments, is one of the things that we are facing today. Clearly, they do not want us to understand. They do not want a majority to know. They want to stand like preachers in a pulpit, telling us what it contains. The preachers are better because they always tell us to refer to the good book, but BBI is not available. The current bill is actually not available online. I've been searching, I've not been able to get it. It's a preserve of a select few. So we do not know what poison it has been laced with. I actually compare BBI to a glass of milk with honey, but also with a good pinch of very potent poison. It will still kill you. It may taste good, but it will kill you. So we are saying the Constitution gives us the power to participate in all matters that concern us, especially on legislation. We need full information, not partial information. How on earth can we be asked to support something we do not know? It's a blindfold. What is it that we are supporting? Is it enough for leaders to tell us that it is good? I am not talking of only those of us in this room or those who are like us. I am talking about every Kenyan from all walks of life. These proposals must be available. That they have not been availed is a confirmation. They have nothing for you, only something for the leadership. BBI presents the priorities of politicians, while the Constitution of Kenya has the priorities of Kenyans. And that is why every Kenyan must stand up to uphold and defend the Constitution. Our dreams, our aspirations, which have been put on standstill in the last 8 years. For instance, Article 43, which has been well articulated by Wanjiko on this stage and by those who spoke before me. It is quite clear that every Kenyan must have access to quality health care. Every Kenyan child must have access to quality education. No Kenyan should sleep without shelter merely because they are not in a position to provide themselves shelter. No Kenyan should sleep hungry. Wanjiko should not have to boil stones to pacify the children to sleep. Our commonwealth, which is our taxation, is what should be used to provide social support to the vulnerable. And we acknowledge that some social support is being provided to people above 70, but only to some people. They registered people initially and then ceased to register. Those who have become 70 in the previous 3 years have not been registered. They give money to some orphans, not all orphans. They give money to some of those living with severe disabilities, not to all the vulnerable. Our priorities as Kenyans is to lift each other up, is to ensure that no Kenyan sleeps hungry without shelter, no child is out of school or has to study under trees when other children are under classrooms. Those are the Kenyan priorities, but for the leaders, the priorities are to expand the top leadership. The priorities of Kenyans are already captured in the Constitution. They just need implementation. But the priorities of the leadership are not part of our aspirations. So the Constitution has not provided for the expansion of the executive. They lie to us. BBI contains what we need. It actually contains what they need. They cannot expand the executive without a constitutional amendment. So they will lie to you what is in it for you, but what is in it for them, and they're quite happy about it, is expanding the executive from 2 to 5 top positions. The current 2 are the president and the deputy. The additional 3 will be the prime minister, 2 deputies. How will that change your life? How will it become more inclusive? We are a nation of over 44 ethnic groups. How does giving 5 ethnic groups, even if they be the largest, become more inclusive? What we need is good governance, is accountable leadership, so that it will not matter to us who occupies the house on the hill. It will not matter to you the ethnic group of the person you find in office, because they'll be serving your needs. So let us wake up and say, these are not our priorities. You are abusing the powers we donated to you, and we are now recalling that power, because we have the power and authority, and we are the majority. The leaders are the minorities. Our Constitution seeks to remove the parasitic model of politics, where the politicians and the top cream of the civil service live off our sweat. In spite of their hefty salaries and allowances, they also abuse state resources for their own benefit. That's why at Sagana State Lodge, leaders could be called to be given handouts when our health workers are still on the streets demanding for their salaries and emoluments, and demanding to be facilitated, enabled to give us quality health care. That is why money can be dished to elected leaders when our children are learning under trees. This is abuse of state power and a great demonstration of the parasitic model. It is time we implemented our Constitution faithfully, so that the tenant on State House Avenue, on that house on the hill, pays rent for staying in that house on the hill, much the way the American president pays rent to be in White House. After all, you have a salary. You should not be a parasite on our backs. The same for every top state officer. We do not need a parasitic model, and our Constitution gives us a roadmap to rid off our backs parasites. Wakenya hawataki kupe, kila mtu afanye kazi, akule jasho lake. And yes, we are aware that there are some state functions that may require use of public funds, but strictly state functions, not functions at the whim of an individual trying to resist implementing the Constitution and trying to resist term limit. I'm calling upon all county assemblies, because the bill is now in the county assemblies. Kindly, do not be like Judas. Do not betray Kenyans for 30 pieces of silver. If the 30 pieces of silver have come your way, remember it's our taxes. Therefore, continue to uphold the will of the majority. I have been around this country this year doing various things, and the mood on the ground, people are not in tune with BBI. So amassing leaders to show us a force of 3,000, 4,000, we are 50 million, come on. Showing us 5 million signatures. It may worry people, but come on, Kenyans, we are still the majority. The 45 million have not spoken. So today we are just reminding us, we have the authority and power to say no to cannibalization of the Constitution, to the continuation of a parasitic model. The parasitic model refuses to even implement Article 210, which says no Kenyan shall be exempted from paying taxes. Parliament has never implemented the payment of taxes. People are still being exempted and given grants, free grants for cars. The Constitution forbids it because that is discriminatory. You can have a car loan, but not a car grant. The parasitic model is what is making leaders gather together to betray Kenyans. We must refuse this model and call for the implementation of the Constitution. And to the President, we are saying to him, you must not betray your oath of office. He may have already, but we are reminding him he must not continue to do so. You are a leader of the entire nation, not a regional kingpin. You must uphold the rights of all Kenyans, including those from Mount Kenya. You must free Kenyans to exercise their right to choose their next leaders. It is not part of the presidential duty to show us where to go. Kenyans are mature, they are well informed, and they will be able to give themselves guidance when the time comes. Let them have space for now to choose their priorities. And their priorities, I bet, are not increasing the number of top seats and enlarging parliament. And there are ways of implementing the Constitution without flipping the priorities of Kenyans upside down. I want to end by saying, together we can and must reclaim our power and authority to uphold and defend the Constitution, to Linda Katiba. We must reject BBI and the cannibalization of our dreams, collective dreams as Kenyans, embodied in the Constitution. Wakenya tulinde Katiba. Asanteni.
Thank you, thank you. I would ask Honorable KARUA to remain as we go into a very brief session of launching something. Okay, sure, go ahead. As they do that, I think, thank you, Honorable KARUA. I think one of the things we need to remember, even from the skit, is that even in its battered state, our Constitution of Kenya 2010 still remains a powerful point of reference when we are beaten by the politicians. And it is something that they are not happy about. So if we lose the Constitution of Kenya 2010, we will lose a very important reference point. So we have to protect the Constitution of Kenya 2010 in its integrity and completeness.
Okay. Well, it gives the conveners of Linda Katiba great pleasure to launch the website, lindakatiba.org. This website will give you an opportunity to read what it is we are all about, and more importantly, give you an opportunity to sign up. We would like as many of you as possible to sign up to Linda Katiba, Implement the Constitution. There you will have an opportunity to share your name, your phone number, email address, your county, your country, because we are also thinking about our Kenyan sisters and brothers in the diaspora, and let us know where you hail from, and join this campaign to Linda Katiba. And as we continue to move around the country and to popularize this, we will have a series of programs, of activities, where we shall let all of you know how to be involved. So, lindakatiba.org. lindakatiba.org.
Thank you very much. We are going to go to the final session, which is a brief Q&A, as I had pointed out. So a few rules of engagement because of the passage of time, and also because we would want as representative as possible in terms of the questions across media houses, Kenyans of different walks of life, interests, etc. So we are going to invite you, those who have questions, just by introduction of what, if you are from the media house, your name, and the media house you represent, or the organization you represent, or if you're a private citizen, just let us know that one. I will request that everybody keeps to one question. Unfortunately, we are unable to do commentary in the interest of time, and responses, but we are able to take questions. So every person will give us only one question. If we do that, we'll take a first round of 3 questions. If we all adhere to that, we'll be able to take a second and possibly a third round. Keep your question to less than 60 seconds if you can, and 30 if you are amazing.
And direct them to a particular individual.
If they are to a specific individual, it is okay to state as such. If it is generically to the Linda Katiba team and secretariat and visionaries and Kenyans, etc., you could also share the same. Do we have the roving mics?